I'm feeling really uncomfortable about this.
It's some weird, like, Twilight. Remember in Twilight when Jacob imprinted on
Oh,
Renesmee?
God. Oh, not the time. Not the time.
Hi!
Hi. We're watching Escaping Twin Flames on Netflix and talking about it a little bit. I experienced a cult-like environment a couple years ago, and it kind of, like, ruined my life for a minute. And you were there along with me, and that was a fun ride.
Yeah, I was not in the cult. I was a loved one that was external to the cult. And it was really hard and very eye-opening.
And this series has been very triggering, honestly. Like, it's kind of uncomfortable. I'm editing them right now, and it's hard to watch. Usually, while I'm sitting here, I'm getting sweaty and a little off. I honestly, like, some memories are coming back too. It's like well, like, what was my experience like while I was there? And, like, I'm not gonna get into the details, but I just remember like waking up every night completely drenched in sweat. I would sweat through the sheets. I was like, I had like nervous breakdowns, extreme daily anxiety, like crazy heart palpitations. I went to the doctor multiple times trying to figure out why I was so anxious, and I had years of therapy, some of which was incredibly toxic. Yeah, I'm like I have to remind myself of what the physical state of my body was in, and my mind, because I sometimes, like, I'm like, did that really happen? And I'm like, no, that those things happened. And it is wild to me how it is all evaporated. All those physical symptoms of my mental condition has completely left and never returned. And I forget. And then I watch this and I think, and I'm like, honestly, a little triggered.
You weighed 30 pounds less than you weigh right now.
That too, yeah. I gained 30 pounds, like, comfort weight. Like, I was incapable of gaining weight. I was like, at one point I lost 20 pounds in like 2 weeks, and then had a mental breakdown, like full body sweats, and like basically like a psychotic episode because of the amount of stress that I was under. Yeah. Anyway, so that's what a cult will do for you. And episode 2 is I resonated with a few of the characters in there. I gotta keep on watching this, and I'm like, wow, man. And the crazy thing to me almost is, like, I think about the experience that I had and how a lot of the people, there were people that were adjacent to what I would call the cult that, weren't in it. And then there were people that were in it that would never even, and that's, I guess, typical, but that would never even dream of considering the environment they're in as a cult.
Yeah.
And yet it matches so much of it. It's not the Manson family, it's not Jonestown, but it's like, they don't have to be, and there, a lot of them have existed and continue to exist, and they have varying degrees of harm to their members. So
Yeah.
Sorry, tangent.
No, I think that's all, like, really good and important to talk about, because there's like a I think there's like multiple connection points here, because we've been in a relationship since high school, are very close, and, like, at times have, like, talked about or joked about, like, how close we are, like two halves of a whole kind of situation.
Yeah. Honestly, even in the beginning, they use that example, the platonic love. Like, we discussed that when we were in college. We're like, oh, this is cool, a concept.
Right.
But we're not twin flames.
Well, not, this isn't it, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like, if I was going to call anyone my twin flame, Careful. It would be you.
Yeah.
And then watching this documentary is very interesting, because the way they kind of, like, manipulate and twist really supportive, solid, like, loving relationships. And then the way they use the people that desperately want that is just really messed up.
Well, they would use people like us as a bargaining chip to manipulate other people into paying money in order to have the relationship like we do. It's kind of, it's interesting to watch what they commodify and how they use it as leverage to manipulate people that are desperate for a partnership.
So it's almost like relating to a show on two levels, because I relate to it more from I wasn't in the cult. I loved you, and you were. And at one point, I was pretty desperately trying to get you out of that environment. So I relate a lot to, like, the family members that they're talking to, and that's hard to watch. And then I think you're more like relating to the people that are actually in it and then who have gotten out of it because that you were able.
Well, the
he's
people
out
are
now.
out of it mostly.
So.
Yeah. I'm like, was it really like that bad? And then I'm reminded of the one guy that moved halfway across the country and then said that when I talked to him, that he felt like he'd experienced PTSD. He had PTSD from being in that environment where I was, and so many like examples similar to that. And I'm like, and it doesn't seem, it's not a wild thing for him to say, you know?
It's not.
Like that stuff sticks with you. And I definitely have what I would consider something like that.
Yeah.
I know another person that said it took them 2 years and they found themselves, it was kind of one of those classic stories. They went on this like really crazy hike and stuff. And then at the end of it, they like finally kind of felt free of it. But like, and they were there for a third of the time I was. And I'm just like, ooh, oh, yeah, it's, sorry, it's not about that though. It's about this twin flames, like how real it is. Like, anyway, that's some of our expertise. And why we're qualified to talk about this.
Yeah. I mean, we're not really qualified for anything. We're both just idiots. We're idiots filming ourselves is what's happening here.
Which is any YouTube channel.
But often when we watch stuff like this, we want to talk about it and we want to talk to other people about it. So we're just kind of hopeful that there are other people who've also watched this or want to watch this and then want to talk about it or want to have someone to share the experience with. So that's why we're doing this.
Yeah. Do you want to do it?
Yeah, let's get into it.
What is up, everyone? I am Jeff.
Hey, I'm Shalene.
I want to rage puke every time I see him.
Back to our channel. I'm so thrilled to announce.
So excited to hear this opportunity that they're giving people.
It's scary because you don't understand it. But then you see the mind control and the narcissism and it took our whole family.
Yeah. That's so real.
Yeah. It impacts way more than the individual in it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Because it doesn't take people, it rips them away sometimes. It does take some people that are lost, but...
Yeah. I still have like emotional scars from what happened.
Oh, yeah. I gotcha.
Yeah. And I wasn't the one in it.
Yeah.
It's awful.
Seeing him smile makes me sick.
With Jeff making threats and, hiring a bodyguard and getting a gun.
Just like Jesus.
7.5 years ago, I came to Sedona and I found Shalia living in a garage.
He found her hopeless and penniless, is basically the way he's describing it.
Yep.
Ugh.
How wonderful of him.
Yeah.
We found out about her apparent marriage, her wedding, via Instagram. It definitely felt like arranged marriage.
There's another thing where, like, arranged marriage is kind of a common thing.
Yeah.
In some cultures.
Sure.
And in some regions, some, like, I guess religious backgrounds and stuff, too. So I know it gets worse than this, but, like, this is why I think people are easily taken in is because they're like, oh, I've heard something like that before. Like, it's relative. Oh, and then you hear all these reasons why it works better. And, like,
it doesn't
yada,
always
yada.
have to be an awful thing, but when you have, like, manipulative narcissists being the people that are choosing the person you're arranged to marry, I think that's when it gets really nasty. I mean, they don't have your best
They don't even know her.
intentions in mind.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I said, "You're going to tell me that Angie's my twin flame?" And she said, "Yeah." And I said, "No." And I remember Keely looking shocked by that.
Because any dissent.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
What do you mean,
shocking
no?
to people.
Yeah. Yeah. Spirit penis shit is so fucking stupid.
So weird.
Ugh.
In spiritual truth, Angie's a divine masculine. I didn't have a way out of that. And that was the moment for me where I was like, I can take that power back. I can say who I am.
Yeah. Go Victoria.
Yeah.
Jeff and Shalia taught us to focus on the prospect's objections.
It's like hard sales.
It's also, that's like what they do in Scientology and stuff too, right? They just like argue you into submission or some shit. Like,
But it's like anytime you want anyone, it's like a manipulation handbook, basically.
I mean, they're classic tactics. I don't respect people that overcome objections for anything, including sales. Well, no, you fucking listen to me. I said no. Like,
Right.
that is a hard line for me
If
now.
someone doesn't want to accept something, they don't want to accept it.
This
healing group was about accepting your masculinity, accepting yourself as a dude in a female's body.
That's awful.
We had to
Support
agree to not tell
sessions.
anyone. The
Open
healing sessions
pickle
would
jars.
not end
Well, there you go.
until
Boom, done.
everybody, complied.
Such a weird way it's like, in one way, progressive in the sense that, like, they're supporting people transitioning,
To start thinking
which
about male
would be
names.
great if they weren't forcing
They
people
weren't
to do
forcing
it.
it, yeah.
It's so weird.
But then they're not progressive because they say that you have to be masculine or feminine.
Yeah.
And they're determining who is what.
Yes.
So it's not really any different than the current structure where people are, for groups that
Yeah.
are supportive of trans people.
Fuck you. My business depends on
There it is.
all of you.
His business depends on you. His business depends on it.
It's wild.
It is wild.
How much this is just him trying to make money. You know? You asked me the other day, like, do you think these people understand what they're doing? I think if you caught Jeff red-handed and you had notes from his own, like, mind, his own, like recordings of his own words saying, like this is all a scam, he would, at the end of the day, still turn around and say, well, these people are too fucking stupid for listening to it. There's always a reason with narcissists, pieces of shit like him. He will deny to the end. You put him up against the wall, and he would just insult. He would just blame other people. Like, people like him are unreformable. Like, I don't know. I think he knows exactly what he's doing. He's a fucking money-making narcissist piece of shit.
There's so much ego involved in all of it. I mean, it's pretty obvious there's ego involved, like, in declaring yourself
the second coming.
The second coming. That's something. And then saying that you know what someone's gender is better than they do. And not just, like, it's weird because not just people that are really close to him, just everyone. Like, everyone around him, he knows better. And then everyone in this organization, he knows who their twin flame soulmate, whatever you want to call it, is. And he knows who needs to change their gender because of it. It's just so, there's so much ego there. I don't know, like, how relatable you find that, like, Keely's perspective, but I think that happens a lot when people are in these types of situations. They get told by someone that they trust that's, like, higher up in the cult or cult-like group that something is right and they need to be doing it. And in the process...
They probably say it's love to do that. It's care to do that.
Right.
Twisting what it actually is.
And then they know that it's wrong. Like, they know that it's wrong. They feel that it's wrong deeply. But they're being told by the person that they're supposed to trust with everything that it's the right thing to do. So they keep doing it, even up into the point of abusing the people around them.
Yep.
And it's, like, heartbreaking to watch.
Well, and I see her breaking down. You almost want to be like, well, this is that whole, like, well, she's sort of a perpetrator. Why is she crying? Well, she's also a victim because she's a middle level individual. So she is both. She has harmed people in unforgivable ways, and she has also been harmed and seen what that, and she's scarred by the harming as well. Because I doubt that she's that horrible of a person. I think the tears are for herself and her victims.
Yeah.
And I think that's okay in this situation. Like, I would, as a victim, I could understand not forgiving her. I don't know how they interact with her at this point, but, like, you know, I can, from an outside perspective, like, she's trying to do what she can to make it better, and, like, that is such a fucked up situation to be in.
Yeah, because you're both a victim and a perpetrator, and then trying to navigate the guilt that you feel, and then at the same time, the trauma you've been through within that group, and it's both, and that is a real mindfuck.
Well, and then you're stuck with that in those questions. You know?
Yeah. And could I have done better?
Yeah.
Should I have done better? But then you're in a mental state where I don't know that you could. Maybe you could right now, like outside of the group, separate from it. Maybe you know and you could do better. But could you have when you were in it? At what point could you have broken away? That is what's really hard when somebody has, or a group has, like, a mental hold on you like that, an emotional hold on you. I don't know. I don't know how you reconcile that.
Yeah.
I made some comments.
Of course she did.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting. I like that phrasing. Multi-level marketing cult. It is.
Yeah.
It is
This
both.
one is more cult-like than a lot of MLM schemes, but definitely it's more MLM-y than a lot of cults. It's weird.
It's both those things.
Yes.
Yep. It really is in the middle in a strange way.
So strange.
Nobody gets it.
Oh God, these people found each other.
Yeah.
And as a mother,
If you tell people, they look at you like you're nuts, right? Like they look.
Yep.
what's the big deal?
Yep.
Absolutely. Our first month.
Because they don't understand.
If you haven't been through it, you have no fucking idea.
And you texted me. And like I was on a feed with my family.
Well, and that's what these like cults rely on, is you sounding crazy. You being like, oh, that's ridiculous.
Or like, why don't you just walk away?
Yeah.
And it's like any abusive relationship.
Yeah. Why don't you just walk away?
Why don't you? You can't.
Just blame the victim while you're at it.
Right.
Yeah.
And you can't. Emotionally, mentally, financially, a lot, you can't.
My child was born female and identified as a female until he joined Twin Flame Universe.
I am having such a fucking hard time with this because I feel so like I am like pro-trans in like every definition, but then I'm like, anybody transitioning related to the Twin Flames cult, I would question. I don't question other people, but this is like, I don't know, this is like so fucked up.
It's weird because it's almost like it does such awful things for the trans community.
It does. It does.
It's so sad to watch something like this because this is what every like conservative anti-trans
Look at this. Look at this. That, they think this is everything. Exactly. Right. That's so.
But this isn't what it is to be trans. This is what it is to be in a cult.
And I think that like I hear people say like, oh, it's like 1% of people that get like transitions. Regret it compared to like way more higher in other surgeries. Like there's that statistics, like 99% of people that like transition are like, yes, this is great. The 1% I feel like is like concentrated in stuff like this in a cult environment, which is just so exceptional that it doesn't even like relate to the community. I don't know. This is horrible. I feel
horrible.
so horrible for the people involved in this cult and also for all trans people.
Do you know the other kind of weird part about this is that it's almost like another manipulation tactic because then, and you'll see with these parents how hard it is for them because they want to be accepting, but it's so confusing for them. And then if they end up saying, like, this doesn't seem like you, then it's like they're being a bad, unsupportive parent. Yeah. But that is what's happening. It's so strange. It's like they can't express their... like struggle with this because to do it would be anti-trans and none of the people that they're interviewing in this documentary actually seem like they're anti-trans. They seem like they're supportive of their kids, but they're watching their kid get pulled further and further into this environment that doesn't seem to be consistent with who they knew. And then on the other hand, it's totally possible that you would have a kid that transitions and their parent would say, no, they were always, you know, my little boy or my little girl or whatever. And the person's saying, no, you've been denying this about me for years. I've been trying to tell you, or I was too afraid to tell you. That happens. Yeah. Right. Yeah. It's very confusing.
That's rough.
Yeah.
Sounds he and him. I will do my best. Hopefully I don't slip up, but I'm trying to respect my child.
Yeah. Twin Peaks.
In 2018.
Why couldn't this just be Twin Peaks?
A few months later, out of the blue, my child said, I want you to start calling me by he and him.
Which does happen.
Yes.
It does.
Did feel that initial kind of like shock and disappointment, I guess, on meeting each other.
If you feel uncomfortable around this person, you need to love yourself more. So it's been 3 years. Oh, man.
I actually am transgender, and I'm actually really grateful to Jeff and Shalia. They're my spiritual teachers.
Two straight cisgender people helping other people realize they're trans. It's just so weird on its face value.
Which isn't to say that as like a cisgender person you can't support someone, but you shouldn't be the one like pushing them into anything.
Yeah. Jeff involved in anything. If Jeff said that we needed to like worry about global warming, I would question it at this point. Because like, I'm serious. He's such a scummy piece of shit that like anything he's attached to.
Yeah.
I did not experience what these people experienced at all, but I was talking to you in the car the other day, and like my gender is something I've never really fully identified with. Like
Right.
like I present male, I'm pretty much male. I'd say I'm a male, but like I've never really viewed myself as very masculine, nor have I really like wanted to be very masculine. But when I was in that environment, I was routinely told it was good to have masculine energy there, and then like I was kind of being pushed to be more stereotypically masculine in a lot of ways, and that's really not who I was. And I always remember being frustrated when I heard people say like, oh, it's good to have more male energy in this space, whatever space that was, and it always irked me because I've always been a little bit more like gender liberation perspective of like I don't know, like we should all just kind of be whoever, and it doesn't really matter, like these traditional masculine feminine roles. And it was a group of people that on the outside they would profess to be open with that kind of stuff, but at the same time are putting pressure on me to follow a masculine role that didn't really fit my personality at all. So like it's like I said, it is not the same as what these people experience, but I do partially understand that being pushed into a certain gender role that doesn't totally fit the way you feel. I don't know. It's back to like the body control, the mental control, like the total person control element.
Yep. I remember when like you got out of it, like right, like early, maybe like a couple weeks max from when you like kind of separated yourself from it. And we were, we'd had some time where we'd spent some time apart and we were like spending some time together. And I remember you telling me, and like I didn't understand it at the time because we hadn't had a lot of these conversations, but like I remember you telling me, you were like, God, I just feel so comfortable being myself around you. Like I finally feel comfortable to just like be who I am. And I really didn't understand because I didn't understand the extent of what had happened yet. And
it was around a lot of this stuff though.
Yeah,
like,
it was
like,
around this.
Yeah, and then like my sexuality too, like I'm really straight, but like being able to like I remember you talked about it when we were like hiking in the river one time. And I was sitting on a rock and I pretended to be the mermaid. And I was like, oh, I'm like a little mermaid, and I sat kind of weird and goofy, and like sometimes I put my butt out and stuff. But like I'm quite straight, but like at the same time, like presenting myself in like a non-masculine way has always felt uncomfortable to me around like other people, and especially at that point in time. Since getting out of it and kind of like seeing some of those parts, like that's one of the reasons I can go on this YouTube channel and like share my reactions to stuff, is because I finally like really accept myself for who I am, and like I'm comfortable in my own skin, where at that point I really was not. And being back around you, I was able to see like the difference between like people you're comfortable around and people that accept you for who you are, and then people that don't.
When they're trying to like fit, much like this, they're trying to fit you into a certain box to fill like a certain need that they have,
and the way they viewed
reason.
Me instead of the way I viewed myself.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it was beneficial to them for you to be in that role for them. And similarly here, I mean, different motivations, I think, but like similarly here, like it's important for these people to fill these roles for Jeff and Shalia.
Different thing, way different like background here, but then in this it's useful for them because they need to have pairs, and they're doing this masculine, feminine, divine spirit thing, which is like, it's important for the business.
Yeah.
To make couples.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then you see like the family reaction to that, and it's not always like it's not always and it's not always correct, because like how often can you approach a situation that as someone who's not in that environment, it seems maddening to you, and you're like, why just snap out of it? Like, why are you still like, why are you doing this? Why are you acting this way? This doesn't seem like you don't seem happy. Like this seems stressful for you. Like this seems like it's hurting you. And the person just not accepting that at all and then turning it back on you, like to do that over and over and over again. I mean, you hit a wall.
Even if it's coming from outside in like a big way, at the end of the day, you're talking to that one person and they're pushing back on you constantly, and they're saying you're crazy, you're source of my problems, like whatever it is, like it's really difficult to deal with. Yeah, and I can see that.
Whew.
Light topics.
Oh my god.
Just relax, because there's a deeper truth here. I'm not here to push against anything.
Fucking naked mole rat ass face, like.
Don't be mean to naked mole rats.
You're right. That's rude to naked mole rats.
My twin flame and I, we both went through MAP, and then really shortly after that, like we came into union, and I know today like that would never have happened without MAP.
And they're saying, and one day some of these people are going to look back and you're like, you're right, that would have never happened had I not gone through this, like, reprogramming system. And they're going to be mad about it instead of happy about it, you know?
Yeah.
In Twin Flames universe, something like, I want to get closer to who I am. What I'm hearing them say is, I want to get closer to who I'm
who I'm being told I am.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a huge red flag.
Yes. Absolutely.
We don't want there to be a supposed to be about gender. We want gender to be something that you are allowed to discern on your own.
Absolutely.
Wow, so well put.
I was very happy.
It's like a self-acceptance, a self-discovery, not someone telling you that you have to fit this box in order to have your true love, in order to have a soul connection.
But they're telling them from the very inception of this program, the Twin Flames program, that it is self-love to listen to them, and it's self-love to judge yourself, and eventually to the point that they would say that who I'm supposed to be, that is self-love, because they're doing the mirror exercise. It's so entwined.
Yeah.
I was constantly looking for signs that this was true. Because I didn't feel it. I didn't.
And yet you're being told by someone you trust that's your version of Jesus. That this is
if you
who you
stayed
are.
past the Jesus thing, like, it's hard to break away from this crap, you know?
He came out to her and said, I'm a male. And her reply was, do you genuinely feel that way, or is it because of what they said?
That's a good response.
Called him a cult. She asked me.
Yep.
Yes. Logic!
It's hard because it may or may not work, but that's your best shot. Your best shot.
And she said, do you want to leave? And I went, I don't know. I don't know how to leave.
Such a good mom. Such a good mom.
Don't know. I just am scared. I don't want to go.
I said that, didn't I?
Yep. Are you getting like, this is overwhelming? Are you okay? It's for real.
I'm okay.
Okay. That's her whole world.
Yeah.
She's lucky that she had family members that knew, like, maybe innately, like, how to handle it.
Yeah. Well, just maybe a better family than some, you know?
Yeah.
Not to say that families are bad, but, like, closer, more supportive.
Or, like, patient. Like, the amount of patience.
From the very beginning, Jeff and Shalia have been a 3 twin flame set where their female divine feminine child is going to be their 3rd twin flame.
The general understanding.
I don't know. I don't like that.
But we have 3.
Every day we claim her, even though she's not here yet.
I'm feeling really uncomfortable about this.
It's some weird, like, Twilight. Remember in Twilight when Jacob imprinted on Renesmee?
Oh, God. Not the time. There better not be any imprinting language here.
So-called celibate. Because she can satisfy herself completely and give herself all the sex she needs.
What?
Yeah, I've been talking to her about that.
What the fuck?
Is supposed to not have any sexual partners outside of.
This is like this is before a baby is born.
This is so gross.
It's gonna be one of those YouTube babies. It's gonna be one of those YouTube pregnancies. You're gonna see the baby bump, and you're gonna see the nursery come together.
So unhinged, all of this.
This guy has problems.
It feels like a caricature of a person, to be
Yeah.
honest.
No, she said inconclusive.
No, that's not what she.
She said it might be.
No, that's not what she said.
I see.
Yeah, I'll let people.
He actually listened. You hear that?
What is her body?
Yeah.
So...
First time I saw him back down.
Jeff was ready to buy a giant 300-person event hall, and we were to live in a trailer.
A compound, you say?
They always go to compounds.
Eventually.
They always go to a compound.
It's control winnowing down until it's completely surrounded you by walls. Divine birthright. Just the word birthright in general creeps me out.
It's not good.
Yeah.
Only Jeff and Shalia can decide whether you are worthy of having a child.
Wow. Takes the control over your body, like, to another... it's like you think they can't get to another level, and then they do, you know?
Where I realized I could rebel against them.
Yeah.
She didn't want to have their weird babies.
Yeah.
Every point we were coming across when we were doing this research was pointing to the fact that he was, in fact, a cult leader.
That's interesting. He had them do research that almost undid it.
You're looking at me suspiciously. It's a cult. I can see that they're benefiting from me being here.
He does this like psychotic clown voice sometimes, you know?
Things started to churn a little bit more at that point. Like it really started to dawn on me at that time.
It's interesting because it's different for every person. What
breaks.
Right.
Yeah.
And for some people, the thing doesn't sink it. Some people, they're still in it and it never clicked. And other people, it clicked way earlier.
Yeah.
Our marriage was falling apart, but the only thing we could agree on was getting Marley out of
Hey.
Her poor
sister.
God.
Keely and Colby were saying, you know, like, we're gonna leave. Come with us.
Oh my gosh.
That's great.
I haven't talked to her since then.
That's so hard.
That'd be hard. How do you go back?
Because she's such a part of the trauma
Yeah.
that you experienced. And yet that's like your family too.
But I really miss her, and I would love to still have a relationship with her.
You got time though. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
she might come around at some point. That's so much to grow through.
Around that same time, I was invited to join the board of directors.
Don't do it, Angie.
Over and over, and making more and more demands on their followers.
How many staff do you have that aren't being paid or haven't been paid?
All of them.
That's not staff.
No.
Those are servants.
Yep.
I wasn't really making a whole lot of money.
Because all of it was going to Jeff and Shalia to buy their $4 million compound and the Chanel that
Yeah.
she's wearing and their Porsche.
Yeah.
Everyone acts like they're so fucking poor. They got money. And the reality is people in third world countries pay for this shit.
No, they don't.
DeVoe is in like, you know, she like lives in a bedroom on a mattress with her son.
And
and
he thinks
her
that's
mom.
okay. He feels like the people that are in his group, that's okay, while his wife has Louis Vuitton. No.
The Ascension coaches are funding majority of Jeff and Shalia's lifestyle.
Yeah, absolutely.
I had invested so much.
Oh, I'm gonna fucking rage puke again. I need a puke bucket for shit like this.
The person that you're frustrated with is you. You're the mopey, whiny little bitch.
He's so misogynistic and like shitty.
I remember Shalia making this remark about, I deserve to rest. That's all she ever did was rest.
She just sits in the background of the videos laughing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shanice asked me, why do you stay? You have no friends or anything. Everything you have is tied up in this group. Like, doesn't that
It should
scare you?
Yeah.
If everything you have is tied up in one
Yeah.
insular community, that is scary.
Told them that I was leaving. And they just kind of stared at me and they said, well,
Why? They're
Why?
taking all your money.
Yeah. What is the reason to stay?
And they're forcing you to transition when you don't want to, and they're forcing you to be with people
Yeah.
you don't want to be with.
Taking all your money, like berating you?
I see Jeff and Shalia supporting anti-trans people
Yes.
I agree.
by saying the gender you are is not determined by you, it's determined by the people who have power over you.
It's absolutely the opposite of being trans supportive.
Yes.
Being trans is an internal dialogue.
People might hear about this group and say, oh, this is proof that transness is some kind of cult, that transness is something that is coerced. And nothing could be further from the truth.
Yeah. That's scary.
Over application.
Yes.
Yeah.
When someone is so deeply indoctrinated, it becomes
Absolutely.
normal for them to go along with whatever they're asked to do.
Because they're beyond reproach.
Yep.
So the best thing is to, if there's other people who have evidence or personal accounts, take that to the authorities.
What the fuck are they gonna do?
What can they do,
They
right?
never do anything.
Well, but I mean,
What can
it's
they even
hard
do?
to allow
Yeah.
them to have an ability to do things.
I know, I get that.
You know?
I thought I was helping, I thought I was loving people, but I was actually abusing them.
I'm glad that she accepts that too. She doesn't say like they got hurt. She's like, I was abusing them.
Yeah.
She takes ownership, and it's also kind of nice seeing how far she's gone to try and undo what she did.
Yeah.
You know.
What choice?
I'm so sorry. I owe you an apology.
Yeah.
For acting the way
Good
that
for her for taking accountability.
I know.
Like she appreciates my message. She appreciates the message. He appreciates the message.
She doesn't know what gender to use because she doesn't know how much to accept the cult being
Yeah.
influenced in the transition.
Yeah. Like,
You know what I
wants
mean?
to be respectful
Yeah.
of her child, and at the same time
But
feels like
it's
it was
not-
coerced.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
That's hard.
so complicated.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't
for
know
sure.
how you deal with that.
I don't either. Oh, she's making me cry now.
Come to realize that you have a lot in common with the trans community, because we as trans people want everyone to have ownership of their own body.
I'm glad they threw this into the documentary too, because they're very much trying to be like, we are not applying any of this to the trans community.
Yes.
And it shouldn't be. It's really because it's that control thing.
Yes.
Like, you control your body, you control your fate.
Yes.
You don't let other people tell you what to do with your body.
Yes.
And that goes with consent. That goes with
Yes.
like gender representation. That goes with your sexuality.
Right.
It's not love. When someone abuses you, when someone calls you names.
That you said recently, it's like, that's so many abusive relationships.
Yeah.
And it's hard to get out of any abusive relationship. Multiply that by your entire income and livelihood and every person you know.
Yeah.
That's what makes a cult so dangerous.
Yeah.
It's hard enough to get out of it with one person, even if you have supportive friends and family.
That I could never do music and that my life purpose was to work for them for free. But I finally was able to pursue music.
Making those sick beats.
Tripping out, like,
So I'm gonna keep at it.
Having people dance.
yeah.
It feels right.
What do I have to be afraid of? If anybody should be scared, it should be
He has a lot more to lose.
He does.
She's already lost it.
Hi, everybody. I am currently gathering evidence of the abuses of Jeff and Shalia and their group. I wanted to see if...
Is it ever going to be
Is
enough?
it? You have enough covers, and it takes so much to like stop a cult. And then you look at what happened in Waco.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't always end well.
No.
You know, like, ugh.
I lost so much, and I have to live with everything that Jeff and Shalia made me do, which can...
She got a sick rain jacket, though, and a cute pup.
She does have a sick rain jacket and a really cute pup. Yeah, and they deny that they're a cult. Which, of course, they do. Who's gonna come out and be like,
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what it is? It is a cult.
Yeah, you know,
Yeah.
it's a cult of personality. It's kind of a classic one. I consider myself a bit of a Jesus. Okay. Well,
The heaviness.
the heaviness. I mean, we said a lot in between.
Yeah, we did.
They said continuing to grow the cult. I fear that they're increasing numbers rather than decreasing, but, you know, I have no idea what's going on with that, and it's a complicated thing. And I'm glad they were at least able to show some success stories.
It's unfortunate because I think this idea of twin flames has continued to kind of grow in popularity.
Yeah.
You had like Megan Fox and Machine Gun
Yes.
Kelly publicly saying that they're twin flames and talking about what that means to them.
And it might have no attachment to this organization.
I don't think they do.
Yeah, but there's that idea
Yeah.
of the astrology-linked twin flame, which
Right.
is where so many of these people, they found the term twin flame before they got to the cult. And so MGK or is it just
What?
Machine? Isn't he changed his name? Is he just Machine Kelly? Is that real? I don't know. And Megan Fox, them popularizing that around that same time. It was a couple years ago when they first started saying that.
Yeah.
Right? But them popularizing that and continuing to go down that weird whatever they've got going on thread.
Yeah.
It will potentially lead more people to this cult.
Well, and who doesn't? It's very seductive, the concept.
Yeah.
Because who doesn't want to find their best friend? Who
Yeah.
doesn't want to find the person that makes them feel whole or complete or who they can live their life with and who's going to be there to support them? Like, I love what we have.
Yeah.
The friendship, the relationship that we have. Like, I would be searching for it if I hadn't found it.
Yeah, you'd
with
be looking
you.
for a partner, for sure. I get that.
Absolutely.
And
But
if we
it's-
struggled, if we didn't like find our partners at like 17 and a half,
Right.
like yeah, I'd be looking for well, maybe I wouldn't because I wouldn't know how great it was. You know what I mean? But you know, I'd like to think like, you know, my parents have been married since they were right out of high school pretty much too. Like like I have an example in my life of what a long relationship looks like, and they have a really good one. And yeah, I wonder if that would coax me along as well.
So it's hard because
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, that's a wonderful thing, but it's a wonderful thing when it happens organically with someone you love and you trust and not someone that you're forced to be with. And when
Yeah.
you're not forced to change your identity to do it. And when you're not in a situation where you're being manipulated and everything about your day-to-day life is being controlled.
Yeah.
It's great when you find that kind of thing, but it's not worth losing your freedom to get it.
Well, and they're not even getting it either.
No, they're
That's
not
the other
getting
thing is they're
it.
not
It's
getting
fake.
it. It's fake. It's just manipulation. It's money. It's power.
Yeah.
It's all it is. And a lot of people talked about how it's just a control thing. It's a narcissism thing. It's a
Right.
It's a, you know, he's just doing whatever he can to line his pockets.
I mean, it's her too. It's the two of them.
It's the two of them. I put it a lot on him because he's the face, and also he does seem to be a little abusive towards her as well, at least a little abusive. But the two of them, Shalia and Jeff, are just like degenerates, and it's horrible. It's horrible what's happening.
Yeah, they're definitely, I mean, like, the testimonials, I think, are enough to show how unhealthy that environment is for a lot of people and how toxic that is.
I just think of like you say all these people are just haters, and I'm like, okay, well, I don't know. There are a lot of groups, there are a lot of like clubs, you know, that don't have this level of dysfunction, and there's a reason for that.
You can see kind of like some of the people that kept pushing and like what they did. Like if you have a loved one that's involved in something like this or something you feel like is like unhealthy or like cult-like.
I think what I saw, the best thing that I saw from the people, there's a big caveat on it, is like the family members that are trying to get their loved ones out. It was keep contact.
Yeah.
As much as you are capable.
Yes.
With the understanding that like that one mother that was like, just get out, like that's not the best way to get somebody out of a cult, but she has emotional needs too. And there's like an element of like trying to communicate calmly, try and communicate softly, and stay there as long as you can. And you have the twin sister who is trying everything she can to, and just like, I love you still.
Yeah.
Like it's, I mean, while also respecting people's boundaries, but being there when they need you, because one day they might come up and be like,
yeah. And being
I need your help.
a safe
Yeah.
person
Yeah.
for them to say, I'm no longer in a situation that's serving me, and they feel comfortable doing that with you is
Yeah.
like a huge thing. If you're capable of doing
Yeah.
it. Because honestly, you got to take care of yourself too. Because some of this
It's
stuff
dangerous.
is rough.
It's hard.
Yeah.
Emotionally, it's psychologically difficult. Yeah.
Right. Yep. Yeah. It really is like draining for everyone for the people that are in it, and then also for the people that love the people in
Yeah.
it. It's an emotionally draining experience.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for watching.
Thank you for watching.
This was heavy.
It was.
Yep. So if you're interested in this kind of content and you want to see more, leave us a like, subscribe. We're going to keep talking about stuff like this for us and for y'all. So leave us a comment.
If you want to talk about this stuff at all. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Then I got it knocked, and I started going,
Ridiculous.
All those tearjerker.
Hey, we're gonna go on a cruise this summer. You should come with us.